Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to TableTakes presented by Gen Con. My name is Christian. I'm joined today by Banzai, Emma, and Derek. What a week.
What a week.
What a week.
We live in a time where every week is what a week.
Yeah, we survived the Halloween aftermath, and hopefully have our decorations taken down by now. They don't come down until Valentine's Day. Just so
If you never put them up, they're way easy to take down.
I am
Wait,
aware.
does that include pumpkins? Do I have to murder my pumpkins?
No, I throw
No, they
some
murder
of the pumpkins.
themselves over time.
I was about to say, was the stabbing of the knife through the pumpkin not the murder?
There.
You mutilated it and left it alive
no,
the entire time?
I did not mutilate my pumpkins.
You
My
just painted
pumpkins
on
are
them?
whole and unsullied.
Oh,
So
they're
they're
gonna
boring.
rot in the inside.
So plain pumpkins, yeah.
they're gonna bloat. I have one that looks like the Binding of Isaac character, and I'm gonna slowly watch it rot.
Cool.
I worry about you, Banzai. Cool. I worry a lot.
Whoa.
It's always the cute ones
With
you
a
gotta watch
smile.
out. They all act all nice and bubbly. And then
Because
they just let people rot in their backyard.
Before we get further into the decomposition of large gourds, why don't we jump right into our headlines today, into the world of gaming? Hey, little news in the world of Critical Role. Some big news happened. As you may or may not know, they had that giant Kickstarter not too
giant?
long ago. It was so
huge.
giant.
It's big.
The
It beat
giantess.
Rainbow.
It was
The fish was this
$11,385,449 was how big that Kickstarter was.
It was-
Originally set to fund an animated episode of Critical Role.
Yeah.
Obviously, with as much money as they made, they
Yeah.
were able to fund an entire season
They
of
had,
Critical
what,
Role.
10 episodes?
10
episodes.
episodes
Yeah.
they got out of that, which is a lot
Which
of
is
stretch
amazing.
goals,
'Cause
buddy.
they were going for one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got enough for 10.
Yep.
Anyway, the Kickstarter was successful, and everyone was happy. The end.
I don't think that's
No,
how
that's
the
not-
story
that's
worked
not
out.
how it
Why? But why?
No, no,
Why
no.
can't we just be happy?
We could be, but something terrible
So,
happened.
so this is where the Warhammer universe and our universe
Yeah.
mirror each other, because there can't be happiness.
Because
There can't be happiness.
Wait, something terrible happened, like somebody got injured?
Oh, no,
or-
they got a whole second season plus an extra episode for their first season. Isn't that awful?
Wait, that sounds amazing. Why would that be bad?
Oh.
Why would people just not want more?
You might want to consult with the internet.
Yeah,
the internet is really the only one that can answer this question, because they were...
More of what they wanted. You got exactly what you
what
wanted.
happened
yes.
was... So what had happened?
Okay, tell me.
Tell us, please.
Amazon happened.
Oh,
Guys, Amazon.
Amazon, the one
Although
that
we do live in Seattle, so a lot of times Amazon happened is a bad
Oh
punishment.
yeah, no, it's destroying our
have
city.
to
Don't
admit
get me wrong. But they're a very large corporation. You may have heard of them, you may not have. If you
Yeah.
haven't, you aren't watching this show because you don't know what the effing internet is.
Yeah.
they also feed and clothe me because my husband works for Amazon.
Right,
So
like
Yeah.
I'm
they provide
appreciative.
jobs and services throughout the known universe.
Yes.
And they have ordered a second season, plus they are going to be pick up and broadcasting on their,
Yep. So this is going to be on Amazon Prime.
like a lot of great shows.
Yeah. And
Also
a lot of
seems
people.
great.
It does seem great.
It sounds
Everything so
awesome
far
to
sounds
me.
great.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're being successful and achieving their goals.
Their life
and
goals.
increasing the visibility and popularity of gaming.
They're
and
doing what they
fantasy in
love
general.
and making money at it.
Correct.
Yes.
And so they're evil sellouts. There, I said it. There, I said it. They are making money at their craft. They are making my job easier
Yeah.
because I stream tabletop games.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wouldn't be even around if it wasn't for those guys.
Yeah.
And I don't, people are really
See,
upset.
I think like this shows the very strange emotional connection that a lot of people will have with streamers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm just going to say that maybe we as a community really need to figure out how to deal with that
Yeah.
Yeah.
before it happens again, because I really hope it happens again. You get what I mean?
This reminds me of the pop punk movement of the mid '90s, where all these like cool little like indie punk bands from Northern SoCal got signed to major labels. You know, like Offspring and Green
Yeah.
Day.
Yeah.
Like,
And then I heard of
everybody-
them because and like
but
so
when
many
I heard
us,
of them, like, look, these guys just sold out, and it was
That's
exactly
like a
like that.
lot
And then
of
they went on to become like literally the biggest band in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dirty sellouts.
Dirty
Making
sellout.
music
How
for
dare
everybody.
they.
Right. Such a hipster thing, right?
It really
Like,
is,
I
and
liked them
that's
before they were cool.
it's our innate elitism, gatekeeping. It's all of the examples of everything that's wrong with gaming being put on the internet under the auspices of these guys sold out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
There, I said it. You can be mad. It's
yeah,
okay.
So what we would like is everyone maybe just enjoy it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just enjoy it. Use
Celebrate
it.
it. Maybe have fun with
we
it.
thought we were getting 10 episodes of something we really wanted to see. Instead,
Yeah.
we're getting 24.
24.
That's great news, guys.
Yeah.
You have Amazon.
And well, the other thing is too, like they're getting better resources. They have more money to do better effects.
They can hire better artists, colorists.
I really do hope that they have structured that deal really well, so that they are protected.
Yeah, they don't.
Because we don't know what the terms are, and I really hope that Critical Role got very favorable terms for it. Because I would hate for down the road for them to not own all the IP and stuff.
The thing is, if Amazon wouldn't have picked it up, another streaming service would have picked it up.
Yeah.
So they got probably excellent terms for it. We can
Yeah.
only speculate, mind you,
we
but I
don't
don't
know.
imagine any of these actors are going to be starving.
No. Oh, hopefully they
seem
just
real excited
don't
about
like sign off the rights and then suddenly like they don't own
Yeah.
their
And they're not
songs.
going to, I don't think they'll do that. It's such, I mean,
Well,
Yeah, it's such
because
a-
I think the Kickstarter showed that they didn't have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel that like they were probably entering Amazon with pretty good leverage for the negotiations.
Yeah.
It's not the situation where it used to be, and maybe this is also an interesting example of how Kickstarter is going to change TV, not by replacing it, but by allowing creators to create enough of something so that when they go to a studio, whether it's Amazon like a new studio or whether it's Hollywood like an old studio, and say, look, we have a thing we would like to partner with you on, but we don't strictly need you to make this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Kickstarter is going to be used as one of the metrics to measure how popular something is.
Yep.
Yes.
How much support it gets on Kickstarter is almost directly relatable to how many people will watch
Will
it
watch
at home.
it.
Yeah. It's just such a double standard. I mean, you look at like the Marvel movies, for example, like Chris Hemsworth or whatever, makes way more than like all of these people combined,
Yes,
right? And people
off of
are so
one
like, oh
movie.
my gosh, I'm so in love with you. Like, they can do no wrong. Like Hollywood stars.
These voice actors that get paid, scale for voice actors, which, by the way, is not that much.
No.
Like even doing a full day's work for the money that they're doing it is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't come anywhere near what the live action actors are getting or what the movie actors are getting compared to the TV actors.
But I think it's probably worth noting that the Marvel, I'm not saying this is the correct position to take, but the Marvel movies and Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans and stuff like that didn't become popular doing a thing that people were doing at home that they wasn't popular at the time. Like, I think the other kind of complicating factor is not only do you have the emotional investment of the Twitch viewers,
Yes.
that you were talking about before, where they really feel like they know these folks and they are their friends.
Yes.
But then you also have that other kind of simmering element that has been brewing around a lot of the streaming stuff of, I did this before it was cool, and now you stepped in, a famous Hollywood actor person, and did it for a little while, and now you're making millions when I'm not.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that, like, again, it's not entirely rational or really at all rational, but
Not even
like,
a little bit.
Those things like that will create resentment that you have to find a justification for to release,
Yeah.
and thus Amazon is an evil big corporation and they have sold out.
I have been that kind of hurt before, where I'm just mad about it. Like, we make movies. I don't know if you know this, but we did a Kickstarter a few years ago, and it was like the biggest movie Kickstarter of all time on,
Yeah.
of all time, which was immediately beat out because Dan Harmon decided to do his show, and he was a named Hollywood guy, and I was legitimately mad for a couple of days about this, and then I realized he's just using the same platform that I have. His name is already just out there, and why should I be mad if he's basically doing something that I would be doing if I could do it?
Yeah.
Like, it's just it's just hate. It's just jealousy.
It's just jealousy.
We need to stop being hipsters about this. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, you got to think of the bigger picture. Yes, these guys are making something that you could have made at home on the TV or kind of thing, like, the argument that they use. But because of that, now it's becoming more mainstream. Then that potentially gives you the opportunity to also rise on the ranks. It's like the reason why people, like, here's the other argument.
That's what coattails are for.
Yeah.
Coattails are for all the coattails. But the other argument is like, hey, why are we getting so much hate for esports? And they're like, oh, these teams are not popular enough. And then now that it is on ESPN, like, I don't really hear the outrage of that, of them being sellouts because they're on ESPN. Brr, 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 brr. Like, that's like, you gotta apply the same thing. No?
No.
Yeah. That's literally
I love it.
the
I
sound
love
of the
it.
internet.
I just want a whole skit of Banzai playing
Banzai doing-
different angry internet people.
I love it.
So, to review,
Yes.
huge success for Critical Role.
Yeah.
Which
Well-deserved.
which
Well
is a
deserved.
huge success for our industry in general.
Yep.
And some of us are mad
In
about it.
specific.
Yeah.
And we would like everyone to remember to keep in mind that they now have twice as much to enjoy.
Yes.
So just try to enjoy it. It's okay to be mad in your heart of hearts, but just remember they're making something that they love to show you so you can love it too.
Yeah.
Support creators, guys. Even if they are dirty sellouts.
Speaking of things that no one was mad about.
Oh
at all,
yeah.
There.
Yeah, speaking of things that absolutely no one got angry about, Banzai, why don't you give us the tea on this?
On the tea. So while we're on this internet rage train, guess what happened for the past few weeks? Basically, D&D, the new Unearthed Arcana, has been releasing a lot of new features or class-featured variants is how they're specifying it. So they're just kind of fixing some of the older problems that they had, like basically helping the poor rangers. That's all they really need to do.
Also sounds great.
Yeah, sounds great. So a lot of they're also allowing fighters to have cooler styles and maneuvers of fighting. So
Which is good because they were a little vanilla for me.
yeah, very vanilla. So you can throw weapons now. That's fun.
Fun.
And then warlocks, of course, warlocks being cool, get more cool stuff.
Yeah.
Right. You gotta give the warlocks love.
All the warlock stuff.
Yeah.
There's also some swapping allowed for feats. And
Yeah, a lot of the focus, I think,
Is character
Jeremy Crawford had an interview where he talked about, and it was he wanted, or I guess the design team really wanted to allow people more flexibility in their play, and there was some really interesting commentary there with regards to even if you don't use some of these rules, the fact that they exist is them just trying to say, look, the game won't be broken if, for example, the sorcerer can trade a spell out every long rest.
Yes.
That was one of the things that to me seems real weird. It goes against the from 3rd edition the feeling of what a sorcerer is supposed to be. But it doesn't break the rules. So if you're at a table and your sorcerer player is pissed because they picked a spell poorly, it's okay.
Well,
just swap
also
it.
for a lot of newer players, when I created my character, this was the second time that I was playing Dungeons and Dragons. And we were talking about this on chat beforehand, and for someone who's creating a character just from books, who doesn't have a lot of experience, it's really hard. There's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of pages,
You don't know what
books.
works and
you
what
don't know.
doesn't,
Yeah, so
what's
you're
right
just
for your build,
and
absolutely.
All the people in your group are like, just do what you want. We're not going to tell you how to make your character. Follow your heart, and you follow your heart into prestidigitation, and then they're all mad at you because you're not killing anything.
no.
Prestidigitation is a wonderful spell. I'm just
mean-
going to go
I
on
agree.
record as
Water.
saying that.
Water. You need water, man.
And my group has been great, but I can say there's creating characters a newer players. This is friendly for new players.
This is
Just
friendly
like
for
all
new-
of 5th edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5th edition is definitely a good game to get introed into.
It's just a good game.
Yeah.
But on the note of friendly for new players, this presents kind of a really interesting question.
Yes.
And this is, I think, what a lot of the commentary that I saw on Twitter was about is where do these options go? Because in a lot of cases, unlike previous Unearthed Arcana stuff, these are not new choices you could make. Some of the fighter stuff, some of the warlock stuff is just, here's a new option. Here's a new fighting style. That seems really easy to slot into a game or not, or whatever. But a lot of the other ones are just replacing or, in a lot of cases, significantly improving an existing class feature. So then you as a player choose, do I want what's printed in the book? Or do I want this just better version of it that's in Unearthed Arcana?
Yeah.
And that, I think, made a lot of people nervous about, is there going to be a Player's Handbook revised coming out? I don't want to say Player's Handbook 2 just because 4th edition kind of
Because
had
that's part of what caused all of the uproar on the internet.
Yeah, but Player's Handbook 2, you kind of have this divergent thing of is it a sequel to the Player's Handbook and you need to get both, or is it a replacement? There's that question. People, especially people were just talking about how they had just purchased the collector's editions that came out.
We should note that most of these revisions are still considered optional.
Yeah,
they're
they're
by no
optional.
means something that you have to do, and I think that they're going to try and keep it that way.
Yeah, but the weird thing is almost everything in D&D is optional, and the question is Unearthed Arcana just an avenue for playtest material that will eventually become official,
Or not.
or is it something else? And if this becomes official, how does it get disseminated to players? Is there a new player's handbook that's printed that has these rules? Is there another book that has these rules in it, like skills and powers from 2nd edition or something like that? Is there an advanced players like? What happens?
There certainly could be one of those things, but going by like what they are all about right now, it kind of goes against what their statement is.
And then you say a lot of stuff for D&D is optional, but it's like, I have the option to use Sacred Flame or Eldritch Blast. I can choose to use one for flavor reason, but if I'm not Eldritch Blasting every darn second I get a chance, I'm not playing optimally.
Correct.
So a lot of people playing these games do play them very mechanically. So if they find out, like, oh, well, this is how it is now.
So then that's the concern some people have of, right now, you can just buy the player's handbook and you're good to go.
Yes.
But if that changes, when you go to a game and you sit down and play with strangers, and you don't know, didn't read into these new options, and you don't take them, are you then going to get flack for having played your character wrong? Or more importantly, whether or not you're going to get it, because maybe you're playing with people who are nice, but are you going to be worried about it?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of what Wizards and Adventurers League folks have said is that the player's handbook +1 rule, like the very, very focused limited options, is one of the key strengths of 5th edition success.
Yeah.
So it just seems very odd that so much of Wizards' attention has been put towards keeping things very constrained so they're easily handleable and digestible to then present this. And I think people are really confused or concerned about where the end result of this content is going to be.
I think you're really just looking at a certain subset of D&D fans, and those are the people who like to optimize. The people who are playing tactically in every game, the people who are doing Adventurers League, the people who are, really just
Min-maxers.
Exactly.
Min-maxers.
Well, not even just min-maxers, just optimizers. People who want to play the game at the top level. People who are all about knowing exactly how many squares and
Min-maxers.
yes, we can call them that, or just competitive or power gamers. Min-maxers aren't always. It's such a. It's a bad term.
There are different ways to interpret it.
Yeah, it's a bad term. Otherwise, I just want to call them munchkins. But that's not what they are. These are just people who will like to game competitively. I think they're the ones who are going to be the most mad about it.
Potentially.
But they're also going to get the most use out of it.
I'm not sure that they're going to be the most mad about it. I think they're just going to, those folks who want to be optimized are just going to go use the options. I think, but the thing is that you repeatedly heard in 3rd edition and 4th edition that the reaction that a lot of those optimized players would have to players who weren't optimized was one of the big barriers for people getting into it. So if the window of optimization to not is widening, then you're opening the door to the same complaint people had with previous editions.
Here I have an argument though. The new player's handbook has been out and released for about 6 years now. It doesn't seem unreasonable to me to have a reprint with these new set of rules.
It could be as simple as an appendix. I agree.
It's just as simple as adding it into there, so there shouldn't be this extra drama. And for me, when I play, I feel like 5th edition, great, but I feel like I don't feel enough impact when I level up like I did before. And so this is for those people who are like, yes, I finally got 4th level, so guess what? I can run twice as fast. Kind of thing.
She does the internet people so good.
Yeah, I know.
I wouldn't say that these options actually address that. But I think at some point there probably will have to be a revised player's handbook. And I think people are just really. I think with the evolution of editions and with what's happened with previous versions of D&D and with how happy most people are with the current version of D&D, I think the community is just very sensitive to changes in how D&D is being delivered. Because I also think that people are just so happy with the success that it has that they're really concerned about messing with that in any way that maybe the magic formula will just crumble.
Well, and again, from a design perspective, in a digital age, it's been out for years. They've learned stuff. They've seen the interactions. Like, you can never test a game to the extent it will be over hundreds of thousands of games. You see all this data, you hear all the feedback from it, you're going to want to make changes to it. And with D&D Beyond, with having digital, it's like really easy to distribute that. But on the other side, it's like these really fancy, expensive books, you know, and this is the tome, and using a book in a digital age as like the God text, the be all and end all, you know, it's just all these like, but then, and books are great, you know, because they have art, and you can flip through them. It's just
not
a lot
real
of-
unless there's ink.
There-
Is that what I'm getting?
But
Well,
I
I mean,
mean,
like,
you can
there is
also
that
pull it
concern.
up on your laptop and just scroll through
That's
it
a
like
that's a
that.
false concern.
Well, no, but like I'm not. The problem is it's a concern that has to be addressed because people have it. Like I personally, now that I've played D&D Beyond, I would absolutely love for there to not be a player's handbook.
Yeah.
And I just buy it that way. But because Wizards doesn't own D&D Beyond,
Yes.
they as a company cannot have the primary method of their distribution
To be
be
digital.
through a different company.
Yeah, yeah.
So like there's that business
Sorry, I just
problem.
thought of something.
But like then there's also just there are a lot of role players who do not want to play from a digital text.
Yeah.
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 Right, but that's silly.
Yeah, well, because, yes,
There's
but
still
there's
a lot
also
of people who feel that way.
there's also people for
I know, but
it's very expensive to buy it. Like they've
Yeah.
invested. The collector's one is like what, like $50, $60. You know, they've saved up. They've gotten this thing, and now they're like, I have the book, I have the tome, I have the Bible, right? And I could see it being hard for those people.
But that doesn't make that better than this.
I agree. But
Not,
that's just
not,
like,
not on a fundamental level.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you may prefer one or the other. I prefer holding a book as to reading a screen.
Yeah.
But I can't say that it's better, and I can't say that these are more real than these.
Yeah.
Personally, I would love a hypothetical future where all the rules are kept as a living, kind of updated, you know, patch notes kind of thing in a D&D Beyond setup, and then I buy a book that is focused on inspiration for the role playing and the playing.
just like art and
Yeah.
flavor
art
and
and
world.
like that would be great. To
I
me.
mean, what we need just like totally digital e-ink books that are updatable.
I think that's called a
with
tablet.
But with pages, you still have the pages
That's
you
what I
can
was gonna
flip,
say.
and
You
but
can have
they can actually like patch your
electronic
physical
paper.
book so that the text in the book
So it could have like
changes.
10
That's just
pages.
trying to make something feel like something else, though, isn't it? Like that's
But
just a
it's-
trick. That's just a trick
It's a
the
play.
people
You're
into
tricking me.
into not killing paper. I mean,
So
Oh, but I think for another, like, just going back on an argument, I think that there does need to be an update because for example, the biggest comment about 5th edition was that one of their main characters, the Rangers, were so broken that no one would play them.
Yeah.
And then that's a big thing for your world. Have your main, like, 4 set of people that you could be unplayable.
there's literally no reason they shouldn't do an update.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. People are mad.
yes, but like the counter argument I can see is Player's Handbook's still selling great, and
It's
you-
also-
once you have a revised handbook, you have a certain segment of players who will have purchased the previous one and now feel like they are not up to speed. So, like, I'm not saying those are insurmountable, but
Look at you.
There.
You got a friend with the book? Look in his or hers. You don't have to buy it.
sure.
There's some people who want to collect them all.
But,
There's that too.
But if you don't want to buy it, why do you get to just complain that it exists? Like that's the dumbest thing I've
Well,
ever
that's the
heard.
core of the internet. That's what the internet
That's,
does.
I know.
Yeah.
This is what I have been saying for the last 26 minutes.
Internet. Bar, bar, bar.
It's infuriating. Like if you don't want it, don't buy it.
See, what I love now is our next topic is going to allow us to replicate that in the studio. Because the Marvel LCG
Oh,
is now out.
yeah.
Good segue, buddy.
Good segue.
Yep.
Nailed
Yeah,
it.
nailed it.
So the Marvel LCG was announced at Gen Con. It's now out and available to go purchase. So you can go pick it up. And then you can argue with your friends at this table about what qualifies as an LCG.
We're fighting.
Yep, this is where we fight.
We're
now.
fighting.
I'm
we're
so
fighting.
excited about this.
Ah, this
Let's
time.
just throw
Let's
down.
do it. Let's
Might
do
want to turn
it.
my microphone down. I'm about to get loud.
Go ahead. You go. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, so everyone knows, living card game is a term that's copyrighted by Fantasy Flight Games. So Fantasy Flight Games is the only company that can use that term. So other companies might have things that technically meet all the criteria, but they can't call it a living card
And a
game.
lot of
Yes.
times they call it an expandable card game.
Yeah, yeah. Just that word living.
So
I
there
think
appears
is
to be a division at the table
There is.
between what inherently makes an LCG and whether the Marvel Champions LCG will be able to live up to that. And I take the stance that it is entirely the product release format. It is cards that are in non-randomized boosters, or non-randomized expansion packs, basically. You want the cards, you buy the pack. It's got 3 copies of all those cards. You know what you're getting. That's it. That, to me, is an LCG.
Or for some companies, you buy multiple packs.
Or
because there aren't enough.
expandable.
So, my first point is this. There is only one company that makes LCGs,
yes.
No.
right? Yes.
Well,
Well, with the term LCG, yes. With
Yes.
with
The
all of the
mechanics.
gameplay
Yes.
elements, no.
yeah.
But they coined, Fantasy Flight coined that term
Yes.
Correct.
and based it on Legend of the Five Rings, right?
Yes.
That was their,
Well, no, that was their first big breakout. No.
Netrunner.
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 Thank you.
Netrunner was part of it. Game of Thrones was part of it
Right.
in the very beginning.
Yes.
I think they were both at the same time.
But those were living card games.
Sure.
Why aren't we going by their definition of what a living card game is and just a format release way that other companies do?
Their definition did not include story.
But their definition is the game itself included story. It is a living card game. The story changed based on tournaments, based on how people played the game.
Not all of them, no.
No, but this one
But
did.
but Netrunner didn't.
Netrunner was much smaller.
It still didn't, and it was still an LCG.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
We're sure it had no story.
It was not determined or changed through the gameplay.
Right. Especially at big national tournaments because nobody played Netrunner.
No, it was very big for a while.
A lot of yeah.
Very big in the trading card game world of the 1990s, you mean?
I'm talking now. Like LCGs were not based on L5R's storyline elements. LCGs were based on a response to wanting to play a game that felt like Magic without having to buy the randomized booster packs of Magic.
Oh, it's just a new way to buy games as opposed to
Yeah.
a new way to play games.
Correct.
So it's exactly the same thing as a trading card game.
Except you
Except
trade. Or
except you don't trade, right?
Or collect. Trading card collectible game.
collect maybe a little bit, but
You
trading
do
you don't.
collect.
You do.
Okay, I mean, I guess
I mean,
I see your
also-
point, but living card games, in
Most
my
people
opinion,
don't
the
trade in
term-
Magic either.
With the term living, it's also implied that, hey, you as a player, this is why a lot of people like playing some of these games, is because you as a player can raise up in the ranks and actually affect the storyline of the game you're playing, which makes the game more personalized to you.
and therefore
So
living. The
that is-
story
that
is
is-
living.
That is very
Living.
cool, but L5R was the only game that consistently applied to. And L5R at the time was not a living card game. And to me, this is living in the sense of a living rule set, a living document, a living gameplay
Well,
state.
by that
not a
logic,
story.
Magic is also a living card game because of the constantly changing rule set.
No, because it is sold in randomized booster packs.
Not all of it.
But life is more random.
Well, yeah.
They,
So
they sell
they
full deck
have
packs
a
that
more
work just like a living
life
card
in
game.
that spec.
If you want
life
to,
is
if you want
more.
to dispute whether it is a good term, that is different. But I would hold that an LCG is the release format,
Yeah.
not the developing storyline. And also to let the viewers know why we're arguing about
Yeah,
this.
because
It was because we were talking about the Marvel LCG is now out. It is
Yes.
a living card game
It's a living
about
card.
the Marvel, comic universe. And Banzai had
My
the question of like,
debate-
how much will Marvel let them play with the story?
yeah, because now Marvel also has ties with Disney, and you know what, Disney doesn't like letting go of their properties at all. So my idea was like, okay, so if this is a living card game, from what I understand it, how much is the story actually going to be affected by the players? Because this is like
And I
this-
suspect not at all.
none at
Yeah.
all.
Almost certainly not.
But I don't think that is inherently like that's great, but it's not required to be an LCG. Just because L5R did it
You
doesn't
know,
mean everybody needs to.
I'm going to be honest. You've changed my mind.
There.
Have I changed your mind, or have you just given up?
No, I haven't given up. I still believe that the LCG should be
Sure.
a living story, and that's why it's called a living card game. But you make such valid points that I can't possibly argue with anything but swear words.
I thought we were trying to replicate the internet here. So a very reasonable, yes, your point,
You're right.
your side has good
You're
points.
valid.
Is completely out of place.
I don't know
here.
how to respond. But the point is that there's potential for misunderstanding. And there's, like, for any type of game or any classification, there is what is literally and absolutely true in written down places. And there's the multitude of ways that anyone can interpret or understand those classifications.
Like the
And
Bible.
That's true. Yeah.
What?
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 Yeah, but fewer people kill each other over living card games. So.
Yeah, so far.
So
So far.
Yeah.
In
So
the year
far.
30,000, they were
Yeah,
killing each other over there will be the LCG heresy.
Oh, are you kidding? There's going to be a big Magic the Gathering uprising here in about 10 years. I've already.
But yeah,
Oh,
chat,
man,
chat
that
made a
could've been
point.
Nostradamus,
That
I'm
could have been a
pretty
great segue.
Chat
to the
made a
voices
point
of
that maybe the
heresy.
Final Fantasy games can make their own like separate kind of comic book that's not necessarily Marvel and then release it.
Yeah, there's no reason that Marvel couldn't do a living story within
Yeah.
that card game, or even
Yeah.
shouldn't do a living story. I mean, God knows they
Like-
still like J. Michael Straczynski write comic books, and he just changes everything he touches
Yeah.
for the worst.
Comics are known for that. It's just
Yeah.
like, oh, retcon every single thing. Like the thing we did 6 months ago, it's gone.
And
It's
now he's a
done.
clone.
Superman never dies.
Yeah.
Neither does Goku.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things of having the gameplay influence the story is really interesting. In theory, have either of you read the L5R story?
Yeah.
I played it.
So the part where the gates of hell were opened up and everyone who had ever lived was brought back to life, and they were like, "Well, I don't know what we do with them all, so give them farms."
No, well, we basically, what is it called? What did we do for our game?
Ignored
we,
it?
No, we actually separated different people because some of them had forbidden knowledge. You can't talk about it because it's blood magic.
Sure.
You gotta be careful.
What? So this is like the snap.
So I mean, like the way that
Except in
we
reverse.
did it in
Okay.
our game is that we like had to section out people and see what they knew, and then it was like a living history book. We were so happy because they knew the past emperors. It was magical.
We could do this for hours, but this is only an hour-long show. We're
Yes.
through maybe our second story, and
Yeah.
we're
Yeah,
like,
sorry.
maybe
Well,
we should
this
move
is
on.
the third. We're moving on.
We're moving on.
All right. So speaking of magic,
Yes.
which is now LCG apparently.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Well, you can buy
That was just
third-party stores. You can buy literally one
That
of
was
each
based
card from
entirely
the set,
on the
so
one
you can
sentence definition you gave me.
purchase with a completely, or just buy individual card. You can buy it in a
Has to
completely
be
unrandomized way.
has to be entirely non-randomized, released
can buy it.
from the original publisher.
You can buy it
in that format.
non-randomized. You can
No,
just buy
secondary
any card.
market does not make an LCG.
Speaking of Magic, new mystery boosters are revealed. So, as if there wasn't enough news about cool new Magic products.
Speaking of randomized,
Randomized.
Imagine if you did randomization. Usually, it's just the 200 or 300 cards in a given set that are randomized and put together. And we all know and love that, right? It's random. We know it. It's known randomness. Now take that and throw everything you know about this completely out the window. So it's like, oh, they're all from a set. Imagine if it was any set. Maybe not quite. Maybe,
That would make
no one knows. Imagine
Like
if it
60%
was,
of your cards useless right when you open the pack.
yeah.
That
depending
sounds
on
amazing. Let's buy
what
some. Let's buy some.
format you're playing.
but if you buy more packs,
Yeah.
Then you
could
get
more or less not.
You're
bad.
averaging 2 cards a pack that you can actually use.
But then some cards are literally unplayable
Oh,
that
in any format.
that
wait,
does sound
why?
better.
That sounds, yeah.
Yeah.
Wizards.
Okay.
Okay.
So imagine like you go. I guess. I
So
don't-
is this like legit just gambling now? This is a good point with the
Yeah.
cards?
I was gonna
No,
say
'cause
so.
It doesn't come out as money and it can't be redeemed directly from the original publisher by money.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
But like to any jerk on the street, absolutely.
yeah.
So most of us don't work in offices. You work in an office some of the time, maybe.
Wow, I'm the evil office
Right?
person.
Yeah,
here?
you're
You are
an evil
now.
office
I'm
person.
the
You
evil
are
office
now.
So imagine that you went
I'm
into
the
your
man.
office today and you're like, man, I'm gonna make some more money. What around here? Let's see, I got like a mug that I drank out of. I got a lamp. I'm gonna sell those things because I
Sure.
use them.
And I'm
Yeah.
going to
For
put them in a
this.
booster
I love
pack
it.
Yes,
for Magic.
exactly. So these cards are playtest cards. The
Right.
unplayable
There's
ones.
no art on them. They're like
So it's
there's
not
little like
crazy.
check
No,
boxes.
there is Mark Rosewater hand-drawn stick figures on these cards.
So these are
That's
like
art,
the
if you ask
mystery
me.
boxes you buy off of Craigslist.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. These are
Why would
mystery
you ever
boxes.
buy a mystery box off Craigslist?
Yeah, actually, that sounds really sketchy. I don't know
Yeah.
if you should do
There,
that.
that's a thing.
Sounds
that
like a
is
way to
on
get
the
murdered.
internet.
Or like, are you trying to get dysentery? Because that's how you get dysentery.
Yeah.
It's just random things.
I mean, I don't even buy the like when you go to a convention and there's that booth. That
Right,
sells,
yeah.
Like the
I was going to say
the
that is
blind
more
boxes.
legit.
I don't even buy that.
No. Why would you? You don't know what's in
to
it.
buy it off Craigslist, like
Because it's a mystery. People
No,
love
it's
mysteries.
like I don't need anything, is what that says to me.
here. Also, it's not a mystery if there isn't like a question other than what's in the box.
Yeah.
That's a question.
Gwyneth Paltrow's head is always the
A
answer.
mystery is like here's a bunch of evidence.
What's
what
in the
really
box?
happened?
Paximo from our chat says, if we've learned anything today, it's that all these arguments can be avoided by playing Riffs, and I'm going to have to agree 100%.
Oh, hold on, but just has he played Riffs? Because they're not avoided; they're just replaced by completely different arguments.
Yeah.
About how do martial arts work in Riffs?
They do.
Anyway,
Unlike
sounds-
real life.
so
It sounds fun for like people who want to go ahead and see some of the cards that didn't make on the floor,
Yeah.
like collector's edition.
And they're funny.
well, what this feels like to me is Wizards experimenting or playing around with what a set can be.
Yeah.
Because this is not a serious set.
Yeah.
But it's not quite as weird as like Unglued
It's
or
not an
Unhinged
unset.
or whatever.
Yeah, a
so,
lot of the cards are playable.
So it's not at one end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Of just like crazy weirdness.
Yeah.
And it's not at the other end of the spectrum, which is like, this is a serious game and we're playing serious times now.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a little bit in the middle of like, yeah, you get some serious cards, but you get some weird cards, so have fun with it.
Is there anything
Yeah.
exclusive to the set that people are going to be clamoring for that they can play?
The
I
playtest
guarantee
cards?
Yes.
Yeah, but then there's also
Then that's why you buy it.
so there's
Because there's that one
between-
card you want.
Yeah, there's between 1,000 and 2,000 cards, reprints with their original set symbols, which is weird because usually the new set has a new symbol, and that's how you know that it's from the new set. But this one is going to look almost
Okay.
like it's from the
I'm going to
original
dub
set.
this the unset set.
the unset set.
The unset, but there's already the
Oh, is there already an unset?
all unglued sets are unsets.
Well, yeah,
That's
but this
the
is the
category.
unset.
The
Anyway.
unset.
Unglued sets.
Unglued.
The unglued unset? You didn't know
Are we
that?
Yeah.
talking about the ones that resealed?
Unhinged.
Oh no, we're not talking about the ones that. Never mind.
The silver bordered cards. So there's ones that are just completely off the wall, and they're not meant to be like
Tournament
magic
legal.
cards. Tournament legal, yeah. But like, I love how this is getting the humor and the flavor. Like Wizards is just treading this fine line of humor in the cards, the flavor of the cards, and just dialing that up. And some of the packs have 2 rares.
What?
Yeah.
But you can't play either of them because they're from older
No,
sets.
some of the
Yeah.
cards you can still play.
No, okay, remember? Okay.
Modern,
Friends.
standard.
Friends, remember?
Pioneer.
Yeah, we talked
Oh
about
God,
all the
no!
Pioneer.
Pioneers.
I do,
Just
I do. I paid attention in class, teacher. They did not.
We did too.
We did,
Yeah.
but that's a lot of information to like rethink how the structure of like modern is not the
Just-
Modern is not
Yep, just take everything and flip
If I'm
it.
a serious collector, I'll buy this. If I'm a serious player, I probably won't.
Depending on the format. For
Yeah.
Pioneer specifically, like this could be, like they could be reprinting cards that need reprints. And this gives them a way to do that without having to somehow shove those cards into an existing set. Like they could just reprint any card and all of a sudden.
I think if you're a collector or an experimenter, this set's
Yeah.
going to be fun and weird.
Yeah.
If you're a hardcore tournament player, you probably weren't buying your cards through packs anyway.
Yeah.
You were buying the pack because you wanted to open a pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they have Sliver Eldrazi. Okay, for those of you who know what that is, a Sliver Eldrazi that makes more Sliver Eldrazi's with Annihilation.
You know that point of a conversation where you're like, yeah, I'm following along, and then there's just the sentence and you're out.
I'm still
Some
following.
people-
I like sliver decks.
Yeah, exactly. So a sliver that just makes, and then like smashing together slivers and Eldrazi's, and it's just totally broken.
That
And
sounds really broken.
Yes, it is
I would play that.
incredibly broken. Yeah.
I would absolutely play that.
Yeah. So yeah,
So-
mysteries, fun stuff. I think it's gonna be cool
Mystery
and fun and
packs.
interesting.
Mystery
And there'll be a
packs.
PAX Unplugged and
Oh, yeah.
upcoming events. The Magic Fests. Magic Fest will also have
I
them.
think
so.
Magic Fest Richmond, I think is what
Yes.
you said was the first place to play.
Well, they've done a playtest with them, or they've like had them
Are
at,
they
at
going to
some
be
point.
at Geek
so
Girl Con that's coming up in a few
I
weeks?
don't
Probably
know
not.
about that. Yeah.
That might be a little too soon.
Magic
Oh.
Fest mostly, which makes me wonder if they're coming to retail even. Like they called out the Magic Fest specifically above retail, so it'd be interesting to see if they're a festival only.
Oh, well, see, that would be almost not worth talking about.
Well,
Too late. Too late. We already talked about it.
We already talked about it.
all right.
So-
What's next?
Next we have
Something awesome.
Yes.
Really? Yes.
Oh well, yeah. I have to admit it is.
Yep.
Cool.
You did like
Pretty
the
cool.
cat.
I did like the cat.
So you can get a cat mini now in Warhammer.
Yep.
Like I think that's really. We might as well just get to the good part. So
It's about time. Don't worry, it's like a horrible cat.
is this the
And
first?
mobile
horrible.
churches.
It's not happy.
Mobile
I don't
churches.
think so, but this is
Yeah.
probably the cutest cat.
It's like
The cutest, creepiest
I
evil
wouldn't
cat.
cute,
say it's
creepy,
the
weird. It hits the
cute.
perfect like Venn
It looks
diagram.
like a cat got slapped together with a deer.
Yeah.
And then drugged through the uncanny valley by its tail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
love
like
it.
it. I don't know what it is
Ooh,
about
yeah,
So-
it. I like it.
So,
Yeah.
at Blood and Gory, which was a Warhammer event in England, I think last weekend or last week, they announced a whole bunch of new models. So first, for Age of Sigmar, which if everybody remembers is like the fantasy large-scale battle.
Yeah.
I didn't remember until you told me before the show.
I was going to cover for you, and then you outed yourself.
Hey, I know what I am. They know what I am.
So Age of Sigmar has a quote-unquote new army, Slaves to Darkness, if anybody's followed. Like, this is just the Chaos Army. They hadn't actually really put out the new, like the full new like book rules for just playing a straight-up, I want Chaos Warriors.
Okay.
It also comes with a whole bunch of new sculpts, a bunch of, if you want evil guys, like evil paladins with big shields and riding on horses, a whole bunch of models out for it now. There's a cool guy in like a giant lizard thing, and he likes to kill people.
Cool.
That kind of stuff.
But that not the cat.
Not the cat.
Okay.
The cat is for Warcry,
Okay.
which is the fantasy skirmish scale
Right.
game.
Yeah.
And they announced a number of like monsters that you can add to the game that both players might be able to control and stuff like that.
So these are like NPCs?
Kind of.
That's cool.
So this includes the Ogroid Myrmidon,
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Fomoroid Crusher.
Ugh.
It's basically a giant.
Yeah.
And the Mind Stealer Spheranx.
You see, that's the one, the cat.
That is.
I
That's
knew
the
just
cat.
from you saying that there was a cat involved, and I was excited.
Yeah, so that is a very cool, like, think of a weird, Zinchian, creepy sphinx, and that's kind of the idea.
And if you have the link, check it out right now. The sculpts are amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
yeah, the
really,
sculpts-
really, really
Do
detailed.
you ever
and
want a
beautiful.
tank that's a church?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
we're
wait.
going to, so
Sorry.
for the 40K
Sorry.
ones,
I thought we were talking about.
well, now we can get to the 40K ones. So
Ooh.
you were going to say,
church tanks.
great.
Church
So,
And we're not talking about paladins, people.
Yeah.
No. the
Sisters of Battle.
sister
Yeah.
battles.
The Adeptus
vehicle tank.
Sororitas.
They're the battle nuns.
The
Yeah.
battle nuns. The battle nuns. So they have a battle tank with like skull cherubs.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's cherubs.
And
but
the
there's
driver
also-
has stained glass windows
Yep.
for a face.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yep.
All of this is real.
it's
Yep.
rad.
This is
So
not
what
some
it is.
fever
Not
dream.
even-
So I don't know if you noticed, but one of the tanks is actually a church organ
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's I saw that.
that has rockets that come out of the tubes.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, so this is some legit.
And the other one
like,
has a huge stained glass window in front of it and giant flamethrowers.
Yeah.
So 40K has some new
Very
models
Mad
coming
Max.
out. They're advancing the storyline for Psychic Awakening.
Yes.
So there's more psychic powers coming out. There's a book that's going to release that. Adeptus Sororitas, the Sisters of Battle, had those new tanks previewed. But there's also a new Chaos Sorcerer sculpt, which people like me are excited about because the old one, I think, was only metal or resin or something like that. So
Yeah.
they finally have an update.
Even
that's
if it
really
was
good.
resin, it was completely metal.
but like
Yeah, I suppose it was.
metal.
The metal.
Yeah, so very exciting stuff. There's also a hint that there will be a new model if you're one of those born people who plays the Imperium.
That sounds
for-
terrible.
Those are the
I
good
hate
guys,
that.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the space fascists.
They're
everything-
space fascists, not the good guys.
Not the
Nobody's
good-
good guys.
Nobody's
right?
good guys, right.
Yeah.
The more important thing that you have to remember about this world is that everything is not great and everything is miserable.
Everything is sad. What about the cat? The cat could be a friend.
No, he
This
sucks.
is a different game.
Yeah.
Also, he's still probably evil because he's
Yeah.
in Warcry, and Warcry is just chaos people.
Just to
beating
give
on
you,
each
I
other.
mean, his name is Mind Stealer Spheranx. I mean,
That doesn't sound like
it doesn't sound like he's just going to come and, drink a bowl of milk out of my hands or
Yeah,
something. No, it
scary.
sounds like he's going to steal my freaking mind.
Yeah.
So
In a fun way.
the final exciting thing is that if you're a Blood Angels player, they're teasing a new model for Mephiston that seems to be really accurate to the old classic art form.
Are the Blood Angels at least a biker gang?
No.
No.
The White Scars are the biker gang. I'm sorry.
Confusing.
Space bikers could be.
Man, even the bikers in future space are racist?
No, they're not racist. They're Mongols.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
White Scars, the Mongol space bikers.
For the horde.
Top knots galore.
Yeah.
And
So
that-
many top knots. Can't even wear a helmet.
Actually, yes,
Too
top
much-
knots, top knots everywhere.
Too much
Yeah.
top knot.
Except top knots are usually a chaos thing.
They're saying most cats.
Yeah.
Well, not with the white scars. They're not. They're
Anyway,
a symbol
that-
of their.
that is the
Misery, I guess?
Warhammer new model stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Back to Fantasy Flight.
Oh, good.
More Fantasy Flight board gaming news.
Fallout video game you might have heard of. Fallout Shelter, another video game, only tangentially related, and now there's a board game for that version of the video game that's very tied into the flavor.
I'm very excited about this.
But you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of a book
Yeah.
that he turned into a movie,
Yeah.
and then you bought the novelization of the movie, not
Right.
the original book.
This is like,
And
I'm a
then made a
huge, like,
game.
say for example, I'm a huge fan of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
It's like they just released Scrappy-Doo, the game.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
You know, like
Yeah.
it's the worst Fallout game that they are making a board game out of.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Hey,
So-
I loved Scrappy-Doo as a child.
Yeah, but when you grew up, you realized what a turd he was.
I never watched it again.
No, he's the
And
worst.
it still stays
Scrappy-Doo
forever
is the
beautiful
worst.
in my
It's
heart.
all about
Look, it's in
Shaggy
the
and-
heart. It can stay in the heart.
I'm more of a Velma guy, but
There.
I know what I like.
So, this is a new board game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's not like the other kind of very gamer Fallout games that have come out.
Yes,
Like the miniatures
the
games and stuff like
hobbyist
that.
mini games.
Yep.
Yeah, no, this is much more. This video game is more mass market. It was mobile. I played it on mobile,
Like
so
Yeah.
almost everybody played it.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
people being real excited about it for a while.
Yeah.
Well, it was free if you bought Fallout 3, right? Isn't that how it went?
maybe.
I don't buy Fallout.
Yeah, you bought.
Well, I
I
think
bought
it's-
Fallout 3, and I got that game.
I think it was also free to play.
And
For
then
like,
also-
like
yeah.
in-app purchases.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, Fallout
Totally.
3, and then, okay, 76 came later. Never mind.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
okay.
just so many things. It's hard to keep track
JK.
of
Which is
them
the
all.
second worst Fallout game.
But what was cool about this
Yeah.
is it focused more on the vault.
Yeah.
You know, you're actually owning the vault. You're building the vault. You get to manage all the people in there. So you still have all the flavor,
So
all the
Fallout The Sims.
50s. Yes,
Yeah,
all
but,
the
but
Sims,
not as
literally.
detailed or as good as The Sims.
Yeah.
It's just basically about making sure there's enough food and water, make sure there's enough power, and get
Yeah.
all the ladies pregnant.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
and
what,
you
el-
could.
what else are you going to do on your phone when you're commuting?
There,
You're in a-
impregnation.
Drive and watch the road.
But yeah, I mean, the cool thing, I guess, about this game is that there is separate components. So I like managing like resources games.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
this is very much a managed resource game. The cooler thing is that there is some like, what is it when you? It's not coercion, co-op
Yes,
involved
cooperative.
when.
I just love that in your mind. You're like, what is it when you? It's not coercion.
Not a part.
Cooperation.
Not a part. Not a part.
Yeah.
Not a part.
No.
Together.
No. I love the fact that you're trying to think of how to cooperate, and you're like, if I force them to work with me, does that count as?
Coercion.
But no, because there's monsters that attack your base.
Sure,
You
sure.
Yeah.
can't defeat them.
Death claws, baby.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to do it
exactly.
together.
And I think honestly, the fact that you could my shelter for whatever reason only ever made dudes, and the way I made them happy, the only way to make them happy is to like put them in the room with the ladies and just have them like go through and get them
ladies.
pregnant.
Such a creepy mechanic.
I know, like that kind of
Commentary
threw me
on
off.
whether that is accurate to real life or not aside.
in a post-apocalyptic
it
world.
is worth noting that I think a lot of these jabs are at the mobile game.
Yeah,
Oh, for
yeah,
sure.
the mobile
100% the
Tabletop
mobile
Not
game.
the tabletop
Not
game.
We
the
are
tabletop.
presuming
So-
that a core mechanic of the tabletop game
Yeah.
will not relate to that.
No.
Presumably, hopefully they take that part away. And then it was the mobile. It was just too easy. I don't know for like my people were
It's
just
not-
always happy.
Well, you had enough ladies to put in rooms
I
with the
know.
men.
I guess so. The like.
Well, like that's the
Wow.
difference. Well, the other big thing is that in the mobile game you can send out your people to
Yes.
scavenge.
Yeah.
In the board game, you're not allowed to do that because nuclear waste. Yeah, so that's
It's
So-
probably just
say it
as
again.
difficult to
Nuclear
simulate
waste?
that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it seems like Fantasy Flight is doing specifically is they're making like a worker management kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
city
Resource.
building game
Yeah.
building.
Yeah, exactly.
around the theme of managing a vault.
Yeah.
And it's Fantasy Flight, so it'll probably be well designed and an
Yeah.
excellent game.
Yeah.
It'll probably have a lot of little pieces. You
Yeah.
have to punch
Oh,
out
the
of
little
cardboard.
face tokens. Yeah.
I like
Tokens for days.
Yeah.
Tokens.
The
Ooh, I bet
the
it
water
would-
droplet.
It'll have a nice little like room mechanic, so you can have like exercise room because
Yeah.
but you need the resources and food growing room.
See, this just
the
reminds me
med
of
bay.
like so we're packing up for moving, and
Oh.
as a board gamer,
Oh my gosh.
I collect
That's-
every.
sounds traumatic.
I collect every single small Ziploc that I ever find throughout my life because
Yeah.
I might need it.
Oh yeah.
And like this is like a Fantasy Flight game. It's like, hooray! I'm glad I saved all these Ziplocs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see, if you did more cocaine, it
you
wouldn't even be an
just
issue.
buy those.
Wait, who throws
No.
away their
There.
Ziploc after one use? I always wash mine so I can use them again. Do you guys?
Well, like
you
the
probably
little-
shouldn't need to wash it after using it for a board game.
No, but I mean also. You
Well, they're
can
dusty.
food.
Depending on what kind
we,
of board
went,
game.
we went back to the cocaine again, I think.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Anyways,
Yes.
we have to keep moving on, but it will be a board game based on this other game, and you
it'll
should
probably be a
check
great
it out.
board
Yeah,
game.
Fantasy Flight. So it's going to be good.
like $40,
and,
right?
Yeah, lots of fun stuff, and it's going to come
It's
in
not
like
as
a tin
expensive
or
as the
something.
original Fallout board game, which was like $1 million, but amazing in every way.
Yeah.
Well, they had a lot of really cool figurines.
It was.
Yeah.
It looked so cool. I really wish I would have got a chance to play it.
All right. What's next?
Bundles, I think.
Bundles.
bundles.
I just want my nickname to be Bundles from now on.
We can just make that happen.
Humble Bundle has the Voices of Heresy audiobook collection. Now, if you look at this link, you will see all of these audiobooks for Voices of Heresy. Voices of Heresy?
Horse.
Horus Heresy.
Horus Heresy.
Horus
This is all Warhammer stuff. This is all pre-40K, pre-chaos. And there's like
30K.
there is like 20 books here, like $610 worth of audiobooks for about $25.
So these are for the novels.
Yes.
These
Like
are for the
audiobook
novels.
versions
Here's
of the
the thing,
novels.
there's like
some
over
of them I think are audio first.
yeah.
Oh,
Well, some
yeah.
of them, but most of them are adaptations
Like a
of novels.
radio
Yeah.
play.
Audio drama. is
Right,
what
they do.
they
There's some
dramas.
audio dramas. There's some audio books. And anyway, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of these. There's about 20 full novels worth of books
I think for like $18.
for like $18. And the funny part about this is that's not even all of them.
Nope.
Yeah.
20 out of 60.
The Voices of Horus Heresy has
The
just
Horus Heresy.
dozens and dozens of books.
The Horus Heresy is itself a lifestyle way to engage with the Warhammer universe.
Yes.
But
So
without dealing with all of the grimdark, apparently.
No, it's plenty
It's
grimdark.
just as dark, but
No,
there's
I mean
no
it's,
chaos.
Okay, so
Chaos is in the background.
like the way that I see it is like you can see the bright light at the end of the tunnel when everything could have been good in the world, but then betrayal of father and son.
So this is what you find is an Imperial player, because they're like, oh, the time that everything was bright and happy
It
was
was gonna
when
be
the
bright and
human
happy.
empire was united and was committing genocide by killing every alien it found across the entire galaxy.
Admittedly, that is a sound strategy.
Genocide.
Derek, as
Yep.
an expert, which of these books includes the
No
budding
happiness.
romance between the rogue trader and the Nurgle that we talked about last week
None
or
of
the
them.
week
I feel like
before?
you need to pitch that. So every year, Games Workshop has like an open submission period.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah. So you.
For the books?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I think
As
Because
a writer,
As long
an
as you like enter a
author-
contest, pretty much anybody can write one of these books.
Oh my gosh! Wait, but would they actually
Yeah.
like let that? Like romance, like the romance line for Warhammer.
Yes.
quite possibly.
Absolutely. As long as they both die at the end, you're probably fine.
I'm like not even. Well,
Yeah, just
okay.
pitch-
I'm like not even
pitch it
joking
to 'em.
now.
as long as
pitch
you
it
can
to 'em.
prove that love doesn't exist by the end of the book.
No, what you have to prove is that ultimately it leads everyone to ruin. Because the only way for salvation is through the undying loyalty of the Emperor, in which you die in service there.
How many of these books did
Oh
you
my
write?
gosh!
You can tell me. None?
But it's okay as long as
How
in the
much
middle
slash fic do
there's
you
a
have?
brief
All of it?
brief window of joy in which the rogue trader is wrapped in the Nurgle's tentacular embrace or gooey embrace. I guess they're not really tentacles. They're like warty.
You can workshop that and see
Okay.
where you want to go with
Okay.
that.
Anyway, all these books are available for about $18. It's going to keep you busy pretty much for the rest of your life if you listen to books as opposed to reading them.
And what you can
Well,
do
I
is
have to
you
get
could
this
put-
so
you
I can
could put
prep
the
my
audio player-
material.
You could put the audio drama on while you paint your mini.
Oh, look, it's something to do while you paint your minis.
It's very thematic.
That's
Very
wonderful,
thematic.
and it supports a great cause. Obviously, it's going towards the charity that they're supporting is going towards the finding a cure for a type 1 diabetes, which affects so many people all over the world.
Yep.
Mostly because of bad eating habits, but you know. Oh, that's
Well,
type
probably
2,
when they're
isn't it?
painting mini.
There.
Anyway, I'll
Yep.
probably have it soon, so I'm looking for a cure as well.
Hey.
And that is our humble bundle for the week.
Thank you.
Bundles done.
Bundles done.
Thank
Bundles out.
You. Thank you, bundles.
Thank you, Bundles.
Now it is time for the queen.
The queen.
That was good.
There you
they
go.
said
There you go.
my
I
voice
like that one.
Only very briefly and in a very limited range. So
It's
go-
just that one high note.
Yeah.
Yep. I've been practicing just Queen. So the first Kickstarter with hours left
Yes.
is Emperor's Choice Deluxeified Edition.
Deluxe.
So Tasty Minstrel has done a number of like deluxe Kickstarters. They did Yokohama, they did Orleans, Luna Gente, Downfall, Crusaders. They've been doing a bunch of these. And this one is it's a bidding game where you're kind of bidding resource management, trying to gain the influence of the Chinese emperor. And the deluxe version has like metal coins and wooden pieces. But the real key is that a lot of the stuff that you're grabbing, a lot of the resources you're grabbing, are mahjong tiles now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which is just, we have the mahjong tile set version of Hanabi. And those are just a ton of fun. to
Yeah,
mess and play
it's just
with.
the
so
components.
nice. It's the texture.
The
I love mahjong
sound.
tiles for that
It's
very
so
reason.
Yeah.
nice texture. It's nice to slap down too.
Yeah.
So if you're a fan of deluxe games, or you've played Emperor's Choice, or you just like bidding games in general, you got a couple hours left.
That sounds pretty cool.
But
deal.
yes. And then also, what is a couple hours left is Game Board 1.
Game Board 1.
Game Board 1. It has a couple hours left. It's a portable, interactive device. It's about a 16 by 16 inch tablet. And so what the idea of it is that it will replace a lot of board games. So you don't have to have like a shelf just dedicated to it, even though it is nice to have a shelf dedicated to board games. But the whole idea is to minimize that and also make it so it's a little bit easier to port. You can play with friends on like just online, or you can expand the board and connect it to make even
Yeah,
a
you can
bigger
put
board.
multiple ones together.
Yeah.
And it comes with ways with extra pieces that interact with your minis, so you can place it on there and actually show what it does on there.
So it's basically like a big square tablet.
It's a
You
big
put on the
square
With a
table.
screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
That
screen.
not only works with a touch screen, but also has interactive pieces with RFID chips that you can keep your character sheet and character information in.
on there, yeah. So it makes it so you have to carry it less and you have to worry about less. And their future prospects are to actually start like a Netflix of board games.
We've already got one going for it.
Oh, you already have?
They
Oh,
already
yeah.
have one going for it.
So they already have Netflix board games where you can rent out games and digitally have them download and then play it. So, you can try it out whether or not you want a physical copy or not. The big thing to note about this that I love the future technology of it, and I think we should promote just having like digital platform games that you can play and interact with. Is there's only one engineer on this team. That's my big worry. And also a lot of digital Kickstarters tend to be
Only one engineer at all, or only one hardware engineer? Do they list software engineers? maybe?
Also, once this funds, they can probably hire another one.
Oh yeah, they could probably hire another one. That's true. Once it funds, but I mean,
Like
out
you
of
have
the
to
team,
start with one engineer to prove you can make it
Yeah.
and get your proof of concept
They
down.
do have a working. So the big thing is that they do have a working,
And it's amazing.
And
Yeah.
Christian, you were mentioning that you might be able to bring it in at some point for
Oh,
us to
yeah.
mess
Yeah,
with.
hopefully. Like we're
Yeah.
we're planning on getting one of the prototypes for our studio. I've been talking about this Kickstarter for weeks on
Yeah.
all of our Zoe shows.
yeah.
And
So-
so this is also going to have a subscription service.
Yeah.
So like you mentioned the Netflix part of it, but as part of the Kickstarter, you can opt into the subscription.
Yeah, and
as well.
basically that's going to give you access to hundreds of different board games
Yeah.
and battle maps for role-playing games. And I mean, it's a fantastic product.
Well, honestly,
It's
it's like this was part of how I justified buying the big iPad Pro. Was that theoretically I could just put it down on the table and just put the battle mat there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
now you can do that with actual pieces that interact with that board in addition to it. So it's really it's completely next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just the idea behind that touchscreen is completely next level. There was no way you could have done this a year and a half,
Yeah.
2 years
Oh,
ago.
for
Yeah.
sure.
No, you couldn't.
I'm very excited about the future of technology in games. I think it's a very nascent field. Like it's just starting to come to
Well, 'cause
fruition.
we were talking about Tabletop
The
at Gen
Tabletop.
Con.
Yeah.
I'm very curious as to how these kind of different formats are going to coexist
Yeah.
and which ones are going to succeed.
I mean, I'm excited to see people developing in this space. You need to have the vanguard. You need to have the front runners pushing this,
Yes.
and I think this is absolutely what this Kickstarter is doing. I think the fact that it gives you an option to support at a level, it's not a pre-order, it's like $40, but it lets you say, make a commitment to them. So it's like, hey, I'm
It's a deposit.
supporting you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a deposit.
It's a deposit that they're calling a pre-order.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which so when I was flipping through, I was like,
Yeah.
you can buy this for $40.
40.
This is
Yeah, it's not
this is
$40.
Sorry
It's
guys,
like-
it's going to be
No.
it's going to be almost as much as a gaming console.
Yeah.
It is a gaming console,
Yeah.
except it's completely portable.
And it works with phones as well, so you
Yep.
can like
Yeah, you
connect it
can-
with your
You
phone.
can basically,
connect.
you can Bluetooth connect it with all your phones and play your game completely on your phone, roll the dice from your phone, everything if that's what you want to do with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
it's super interactive like that.
So what's exciting about this is you can, if you're an early adopter, if you want to see technology, if you want to shape technology, you
Yeah.
know, you get
Yeah.
this and you give them feedback, you can get in. If you prefer to kind of hang back a little bit and see how things develop, and you're like, well, this is super cool, but I want to see it out in the wild before I fully commit to it, you have that option as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
it has the potential to be an actual game changer.
Yeah.
I would really like to have some of the creators or have a prototype on to
Yeah,
mess
that
around
would
with.
be
I
That would
think
be
I think we
awesome.
can probably arrange that.
'Cause I have tons of questions already.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I, and I want them all answered by the people who made it.
But yeah, so if you want to go ahead and try to like invest in this disruptive, would you say disruptive?
Disruptive.
technology?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, disruptive technology, kind of like a 3D printer.
Yeah.
Like you have a couple hours. Game Board 1, it's on Kickstarter.
By the last game board, yeah. Very cool. Check it out.
Yep.
I think it's worth looking at the project even if you're not going to back it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, more projects with 2 days left. We have Grim World, which is a new fairy tale setting for D&D 5th edition. It's from Wise Papa Grant on Twitter.
Yeah.
Some folks, if you're kind of paying attention
I follow.
if you're paying attention to discussion of D&D on Twitter, he
Yeah.
pops up a lot.
And it's GRYMM world, all one word. If you're searching for that, helps
Yeah.
to type in the right thing.
So this is fairy tale.
Yeah.
It's apparently very, very story narrative focused, as opposed to say combat.
Yeah, to the point of character creation being completely revamped to focus more on story.
yeah.
Yeah.
So character creation apparently is going to have a life path model, where
Yeah.
instead of just building your character, you're kind of going through different stages in their lives and deciding what happened at this point in their life, and then your rules kind of emerge from that.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite.
This
character
is-
creation methods of all the ones that are out there.
Yeah.
I like it
I
a lot
also
more than
agree.
just rolling dice. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you build more of your character, and this is like a character creation. You can actually have your character die while creating it.
Well, theoretically, it depends on the example
I
of
mean,
it.
you
Like
can
in
fail
this one,
forward.
in this one,
Yeah.
that may not be the case.
Yeah.
But in the old days of Traveler, that was definitely a way
Yeah.
you could go out.
Well, but it's interesting to me because it strikes me as a way to help people who are very new and intimidated.
Yes.
Instead of hey, make your character do all these things, you
Yeah,
can just be
yeah.
we're going to ask you 20 questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At each question, you're going to pick one of 3, 4, 5 options.
It's a lot more thematic. It just makes a lot more sense. You know,
Yeah.
if you're saying oh, okay, now go here in the book, now go here in the book, and you're like, but why? Why do I have these things? Why is my character like this? They're like, well, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. It's but if you can tie them to, it's oh, well, my character is so good at climbing trees because their family was murdered by bears. They survived. I guess bears can climb trees. Their family's murdered by rhinos, and they climbed a tree to survive.
Rhinos cannot climb trees.
No, they knock down trees. Bears can climb trees.
Well, that's why not
What?
bears.
What?
Oh boy.
So,
Yeah.
wait, so
I spent so much money on an
Wait,
anti-bear
I'm
treehouse
confused.
for
I
no
do
reason.
just want to say the idea of you all creating characters whose family was murdered by bears on top of rhinos. I think that is a fantastic
Bear-
adventuring scenario.
Sure. Anyways, that's very evocative, right? You remember that
I
as a
will
player.
remember that for at least 20 minutes.
So you have inspirations for your story.
That reminds me, we should make a character with
The
you.
Rhino Riders of Ursa.
That too. We should make a character with you for Legend of the Five Rings because
Oh,
it uses
yeah.
a 20-question system to build your character.
Ooh, yeah.
Which I think
Yeah.
you might find interesting.
Sweet, I would love
Yeah,
that.
that's
It's just
pretty
like
That's all I
character
got.
creation itself can be fun too, which is nice because a lot of systems it's just kind of grindy and boring. But putting
It's my favorite
That's the
part.
same kind
Yeah.
you use for Dread, though, too, for the 20 questions. Of
yeah.
why I like that with Dread.
Well, Dread, it can vary from scenario to scenario.
Yeah.
Like L5R, you end up with a more traditional character on the back end.
yeah. The other thing I would say is
Congratulations, you're a guy with a sword.
fairy tales are
how it always
in
ends up.
right now. This is so fascinating that it's coming right on the heels of Eldraine and how Throne of Eldraine really. Fairy tales have always been there, but Throne of Eldraine really demonstrate people are really into fairy tales and putting a grim twist on them. I don't think that these two things are connected at all. I'm sure this was in development for a long time, but just being yeah, people are still really into that. And
Because they're easy, digestible lessons. I mean, you could also go for Tall Tales. Sorry, while we're in America.
Yeah.
Tall Tales would probably be another one that would be a good,
Yeah.
modern version.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm into this. If I can
Did a whole
play
campaign with Tall Tales, they're my favorite.
putting a fairy tale twist onto something, I'm that actually sounds kind of cool for a role-playing world.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
We should play Changeling at some point.
Oh,
Okay.
Changeling.
We're just going to keep making a big long list.
You
of
keep-
RPGs
I want to
that
play
you should
every
play.
Telling
game.
us,
Yes.
like,
yeah, you're like, oh, let's play this.
You
game
always say let's
together.
play this. We never play.
We
Yeah.
never play.
We never get to
You
play.
keep
Plays with
teasing
us.
us. We're like, yeah, we're down.
It's
Yeah,
not like
we're
we
gonna
don't have a
play.
room to play
There-
in.
I'm
Yeah,
try-
we'll
I'm-
do
I'm
it.
trying to simulate the proper White Wolf hobby of talking about
a
playing
game that you
and
never
never
play.
actually getting a
That's
chance
so
to play.
sad.
That sounds
Makes me
right.
sad.
Sadness.
So
sounds right.
Anyway,
All right.
moving on.
Yep.
2 days left on that one. In other 5th edition setting news, Scavenger, again with 3 days left, is a Bronze Age punk role-playing game in a world unlike any other, an alien and apocalyptic universe.
Bronze Age punk?
Yeah.
What is that?
So
It's like cyberpunk.
I know steampunk.
Steampunk.
I know diesel punk. I know,
Okay, steampunk.
I know a lot of the different punks.
Go backwards, back in time.
Backwards.
Yeah.
Bronze punk.
Yeah.
So like we're going back to the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
yeah, so I think
Shiny and chrome?
I think what they're trying to get back
Shiny
is
and
so not
Bronze.
shiny and not
Bronze.
chrome at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Shiny
think
and
they're
bronze?
trying to get to
Not shiny.
to like relatively low technology, no plate mail, no firearms. You know, like probably not super well forged swords and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's the punk part?
The
They have
punk,
mohawks.
I think is more the aesthetic.
Seriously?
Yeah.
It's more the aesthetic of the character's approach.
And piercings. And like face paint.
They're
So-
going against the society of the Romans.
Guys,
Gosh. Oh, yeah,
that's
that
how
was-
people dressed back then anyway.
Also not historically accurate, I think is what we're getting at.
You guys just don't want to like go against the society and just cut your
Yeah,
hair on the
they're
side
just.
and just
You
like-
bet I do.
like,
Yeah, I just can't.
Yeah.
Because this is the only hair I've
I
got
would
left.
hate
Buck
to
the system.
play a character with a mohawk.
Damn the man. Save the empire.
So anyway, I think this was really neat because it really reminded me of Dark Sun. Not in the sense that it's in a desert, but it's that they have this kind of world that is like crumbling. Apparently, cataclysms like environmental disasters
Yes.
are happening constantly. So the world is clearly dying.
yeah, set in the ravaged world of Akara, the only hope is an ancient gateway called the Monolith. Yeah.
So there's some gateway to another world.
Yeah.
And you can go to this other world and you can scavenge like technology and magic and stuff like that. And apparently part of the core of the game is going to be, do you try to bring that back and save the world you're coming from that's dying? Or do you kind of just hang out in this new world instead?
Be like, fine, see you later. It's been cool, but I'm going to go to the great place.
And it also describes that this is a combination like art book, setting book, a whole bunch of stuff together. The art is really
anthology.
fantastic.
I mean, yeah, that was what really drew me to this project because, you know, we see a lot of these almost like every week. We have a bunch of settings and like cool art and stuff. But this one I could see on my coffee table. My coffee table is my only coffee table, and there's already a book on there, so I can't put another book on there. But in the future, when I have a table that's only for
I feel
coffee
like we're
table
going to
books.
a very narrow personal range here.
But it's the kind of thing, you have it out, you flip through it. Like, this is the kind of book that I just want to read. I just want to look like, oh, and then there's this this type of character that, like, lives in the ocean, and there's like, oh, this city's all full of assassins. It's almost like reading a book.
If you are interested in role-playing games that you read,
Yeah.
trust me, White Wolf has got your back.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
No question there.
Yeah, it's just like you said, we're never actually going to play this game, right? Just like 300 pages of just like cool art.
Well,
I'm
I mean,
like,
if we're
wow,
never
those
going to play
characters
it,
are really
maybe
cool.
we should move on as we have about 20 minutes left before the next show starts and at least 3
What's
pages
next?
of Kickstarters to get through.
We can go fast.
Yes.
So
No, we can't. We just proved that.
No.
we can't go fast when we get excited about something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's
Don't
get,
get
There's so much
excited.
good stuff.
let's get excited about this one. Iridium Miniatures Hyperborea: The Awakening.
The only thing
What
we
even
need to
is
know
that?
is buff sea
Yes.
creatures.
It's-
Buff sea creatures.
There.
They're big
I found
minis.
it.
They look awesome. Check them
Yep.
out.
So just to say a few things, like Star Princess in a skull carriage pulled by a narwhal. I am not joking or exaggerating.
Yep.
That is exactly what is in this
And
campaign.
the paint job on the campaign is gorgeous
It's
for
very
that
nice
particular
paint job.
figure.
Incredibly creative.
There's also a buff narwhal fighter, a buff orca fighter, a buff walrus fighter. So like, look at these minis.
Yes.
If you ever wanted ridiculous minis, here are some.
You know what it reminds me of? Like post-apocalyptic battle beasts.
Oh
Sure.
my
From the
god.
day.
Yeah.
Battle Beast.
Or like
Oh.
Street Sharks.
The best-
Street Sharks.
Yes.
Street Sharks.
I liked Battle
Sharks.
Beast because it was like the best version of rock, paper, scissors ever.
Yep.
Drink shark.
I love battle beasts.
Me too.
Rip off their arms and replay it and swap them.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
So you can also put them in GI Joes, so they would have these tiny little arms.
Great.
Anyway, that has 3 days left, and it is completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
We also have Runelhjord.
Runelhjord.
Oh,
Hyud?
you mean sausage? You mean sausage?
So this is a
Runelhjord.
capital KBG Kickstarter board game.
Kickstarter board
board
game.
game.
A dungeon crawl storyline fantasy epic adventure thing.
Wow, that's a lot of words.
Yep.
Wow,
Yep.
one of each.
But the reason that I thought it noteworthy with 3 days left is that instead of dice, you were actually casting the runes provided with the game. So you
So
kind of,
authentic.
you shake up your little runes. I have no idea, but you who knows? But you
They care
throw
about
runes at the table.
orientation.
Yep. You
Yeah.
throw runes at the table, and that's how you determine what happens.
Yeah.
All right, at least we
very
get to
authentic.
at least we can still appropriate the Scandinavians without any repercussions.
It's fair.
Speaking of no repercussions, we have League of Infamy with 5 days left.
Oh,
Yep.
this one seems fun.
Yep. So in this one, this is also a Kickstarter board game where you're going on a storyline adventure thing, but it's a little more competitive. You are all playing villains who have all been hired to stop the pointy-eared do-gooder elves from raising an army of dragons. And Banzai, how do you stop an army of dragons?
Slit it by the throat.
Yep, you find their babies and kill them.
That's right. The entire game is based around your evil group running around kidnapping baby dragons so you can murder them.
Well,
Kidnapping cute little
it actually,
baby
they are very
dragons.
cute. I saw it on the thing. They're like, look, at you got to kidnap this thing, but they didn't say kidnap. We got to sneak in, and it had a little like red, and the thing disappeared.
You see, this is my problem. Like, it's all just darkness and murder, baby dragon murder. When is it going to be just cute baby dragons who don't get murdered? I'm going to play this game. I'm going to back these, take all of them, just like take all the baby dragons and just like save all of them from the murder.
It's 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah,
That's
but
exactly-
reverse.
yeah. Well, I mean,
No.
Oh,
if
well,
you don't
for-
think Cruella de Vil was the main character in that movie, you didn't watch
I
it.
love
Yeah.
Cruella.
Well, you're saying this is Cruella de Vil.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Murdering. Yeah, it's terrible.
So, this is it's cooperative in the sense that you have to work together to accomplish the goal, but ultimately, whichever villain ends up with the most money at the end wins.
Yep.
And the minis here are pretty interesting too.
Yeah.
So, Kickstarter board game with a little bit of a twist. And if you ever wanted to murder cute dragons, this is how you work.
You're a
through those
terrible
issues.
person. You should be
I bet
ashamed
they
of
would
yourself.
taste pretty good.
What?
Yeah, because it's like veal. They're babies. So if you,
Oh, the meat's probably way more tender.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, with 6 days left, talking about horribly corrupt, perverse things, the Necronomicon Gamebook Carcosa Edition is out. Apparently, this is the second one. The first one focused on Dagon. But this is kind of choose your own adventure-y. It's like some of the other game books. But, it's choose your own adventure. But you've got a character sheet, and you got dice, and you're keeping track of notes and things like that. So
It's like reading,
solo
but harder.
RPG-ish.
There. Well, wait. So this is why you're saying this is how you raise an army of the dead with this book by playing this game.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like an art book mixed with choose your own adventure, mixed with kind of a solo RPG.
Yeah.
And King and Yellow Carcosa stuff is always really fun.
Cool.
Banzai?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hotel.
Now we are going off to a magical adventure at Arcana Academy, a magical school RPG.
See, can't this be happy?
Yeah. Look. Woo.
Yeah.
This is happy. This is a happy
This is
little.
happy.
This is
So
the
it has
one shining light
6 days. 6
in
days.
the morass of darkness.
Yes. 6 days left in
Man.
this Kickstarter. It's
You are
basically
morose today.
if you wanted to play Harry Potter and Magic, this is the game for you.
Yeah.
If you always wanted to play RPG with Harry Potter, this is it.
Chances are you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just shoved Harry Potter in whatever you were
Well, I
already
mean, chances
doing.
are you wanted to play, yeah.
But
Well,
but a magical school. So it's created by the same what is called Gauntlet Forums community. So it is very progressive in how they promote different character developments and how they promote different people, minority groups and such. But the big thing is that it's a rules light. It's a rules light game. So like
Powered by the apocalypse.
Power
in
the
fact.
Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very easy to pick up, and it's more story-based, driven kind of games where you're actually supposed to like make friends with these NPCs, and not making friends and making friends have consequences in the game, and you also can fail forward. I like
so
that.
it's High School Anxiety, the role-playing game?
Yes.
Yes.
It's High School
Great.
Anxiety, the
But with
role-playing
magic.
game.
Yeah.
But with magic.
And since it's apocalypse engine driven, basically you fail forward. Exactly.
Yeah, you
It's
fail
fail forward.
forward,
You
yeah.
roll. The outcome is the outcome, but it succeeds, but with complications and so on and so
Yeah.
forth.
Right,
like-
and if you fight, you lose an arm or you die.
Yeah.
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 It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah.
Fighting hurts.
I
You guys
have
know
I have a feeling there might be a little less character death than in Apocalypse World itself. Just gonna go out on a limb here, and this is Arcana Hogwarts,
Well,
not
yeah.
like
I mean-
murder warts.
Yeah.
They only kill off that character who you kind of care about, but then they tease.
You never cared about him.
You did care about
I
them. Yeah, just right at the end, just to like up the stakes. They're like, which character is
That's-
cared about enough, but not like so much that people will get mad.
That's
So we
called
kill them
fridging.
off. There. Yeah. Yeah. Eh.
And we should stop.
Mad revenge power.
Yes.
So, that is our Arcana Academy.
Yes.
Speaking of revenge.
Revenge.
Yes. Speaking of mad revenge power, there is Vengeance, the director's cut, with 7 days left. So this is basically billing itself as a revenge movie in a box. It has a competitive mode and a solo mode, but the kind of really neat premise is that you're basically playing the fight at the end of that revenge movie.
Yeah.
So you kind of create a character, you figure out how the evil organization you're fighting against wronged you. What did they do to you?
Oh,
What
they
did-
they bought another season of Critical Role.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, callbacks.
No.
So you take the damage they inflict upon you, and then you just kind of do a very quick montage of like, how did you train up, and how did you find out where they were, and like what challenges did you overcome to get there, and then you just go into the fight, which seems like a really kind of neat way to handle it. And then there's a director's cut element where like the other players can be the director of your fight scene and kind of re-edit and mess around with things. So seems like
Different
kind of
camera angles.
Yeah.
seems like a neat premise.
That kick looked terrible from this one. We're going to catch it from down here.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know, it's so dramatic.
So, another Kickstarter, 7 days left. This is The Curious Case of the Cats of Crumptown.
Good job.
Go ahead.
Wow.
Complain about this one. Is it too dark, Emma?
It's pretty dark.
Is it?
Oh, there.
It's got cats.
It's a
Yeah.
bunch. One of the cats is in a dinosaur,
Okay.
is in a dragon outfit. Are you worried that
There-
he's going to get his throat slit by the League of
Yes,
Infamy?
now that you mention it.
This is
Look,
thirst-
Banzai's
so-
over here talking about eating the baby dragons.
Yep.
Well, no, she wasn't saying that she was going to eat them. She was just saying that they would be better eating
Were
their
she to
regular
eat
dragon
them-
because the meat is more
Were
tender.
she to
Right.
eat them,
Okay,
they
so
would be
no one
tasty.
thinks about if mammoths ever come back that if they have enough, you could eat one, right? No? No?
All the time.
Like, that's the one thing to bring back some endangered species is to eat them, right?
No.
What?
Yeah. Like, there's enough if you have enough of
I
a healthy
love
population.
eating things.
Yeah.
And my conservation is not driven by my desire to eat more.
I mean, it helps the world.
You know, if we just had
Anyways.
more Siberian tigers in the world, we could eat them.
So, anyway, there's a Kickstarter
On the way of
for,
Don't
Dodo.
eat these.
for a bunch of adventure cats, basically.
Yes, that sounds adorable.
So,
Yes.
D&D classes.
Yep,
Cats.
they've got one for each class,
Yeah.
plus
One in a dragon
cat
costume.
dressed as a dragon.
Yeah. Well, it's
Rawr.
funny because there was another
Rawr.
Kickstarter that I backed that was Cats and Catacombs, I believe, that was cats as adventurers. What sets this apart from the other one is that these are more anthropomorphic, I think. They're a little
like,
more.
it's weird. Like these feel more like a gnome caricature to me.
Yes.
Where, like the features are really exaggerated.
Yeah, like
so
a cartoony.
Yeah,
almost.
it feels kind of gnomish
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
When you
and
say gnomish, do you mean like David the Gnome? Or
like a D&D gnomish.
oh, so where they just have exaggerated features
Like
and
knobbly, like big nose, that kind of thing.
Yeah. yeah.
everything else looks like a smaller person, but these guys actually look like cartoons.
Yeah.
So this just goes to show how much people like cats and how much this industry has grown, and there are multiple Kickstarters with minis.
Literally the
of
second most
cats
popular pet in America.
specifically for
Cats have finally made
Role-playing
it. though.
games.
Finally made it.
They're making their mark, man.
Finally
I mean,
getting the
we've
respect
been-
they deserve.
Yeah, after the fall of Egypt, we just didn't think we were ever going to see cats again.
if you wanted to play your role-playing game as cats, but the first one wasn't quite what you were looking for, then maybe this one will be more your
Here's
style.
another one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another one.
The only thing to keep in mind is that these are pewter.
Yeah.
So they're metal.
yeah.
This is like literally the third or fourth of like cute animal as D&D character Kickstarters that
Right.
we've covered.
I know.
Right,
I
that's
keep
what I'm
tossing them in
saying.
for her, and she's never satisfied.
What?
There's no happiness, no joy, nothing cute this week.
Look, I'm saying it's like 1 out of 15.
It's still there.
It was 2 out of 15.
2 out of
So,
15.
The
Yeah.
final Kickstarter.
Everything else was
The
terribly
final
dark.
Kickstarter with 7 days left is a bit of a weird one.
Yes.
This is Void Heart Symphony.
Which sounds like a PS4 exclusive.
Well,
Oh, you're right. It does.
Doesn't it?
Nice.
funny you say that because they very much want to like even their summary of like, what is this game like? Because it's weird. It's just like, yeah, it's Persona 5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Meets Psychonauts,
Yeah.
meets Inception,
Yeah.
with like a very LGBT friendly kind of wrapping.
So it's Persona 6.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you basically are playing these normal people who have seen like beyond the veil of like reality, and you see the true nature of power and its corrupting influence.
So stoners.
And you see the nightmare citadel that exists behind everything, so you project a psychic form of yourself to go fight it. So
It's like
That's pretty
Calvin and
cool.
Hobbes and that world. Like, imagine Calvin the Hobbes the game. But this is it.
Well-
Imagination.
I see. I took it to. It's,
with a
it's
nightmare
like,
citadel.
Yeah, I said it's like Dream Warriors without Freddy.
what, you
Oh.
want to read the quote that got you in on this one? It's about a student. And
Yes, yeah. Here it is. It's all about a student, a single mom, and an elderly activist shifting into their idealized mythical forms as they take the fight to a nightmare labyrinth, twisting within the mind of their target.
Yep. Further, this is from the design team who did Legacy: Life Among the Ruins, which was a very, very like both beautiful and well put together Powered by the Apocalypse game. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit weird, like to me this feels like a gonzo version of Unknown Armies, or a less grimdark and mean version of Cult almost. Like it's pulling some of those themes in
Yeah,
without
yeah.
being quite as extreme on the horror side.
What was
Yeah.
that movie with Tom Hanks and Halle Berry, where they kept going through different times and stuff?
Oh, Cloud Atlas?
Oh,
That's the
Cal-
one.
oh.
Yeah, it's like it's just got like that. It's got that kind
Oh.
of weird, fantastical feel to it, like
Yeah.
that.
And
Yeah.
also maybe it was all just a dream.
Right.
Yeah,
like
the
Inception,
incarnation.
Yeah.
which we already covered.
Right.
Reincarnation, I'll read.
So, those are the Kickstarters of the week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
There we go. Boom.
We nailed it.
All right. I think that we did such a great job today, everyone.
I agree.
The best
Yes.
job.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that we all got a little heated.
Are you?
I still love you all.
Yes.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. This is one of the best parts
We
of
love
my
you
week.
too.
So I'm glad to be here.
Oh, yay.
And we got to cover some games. So hey, everybody, have a safe weekend. Have a safe week. Don't forget, we will be back next Friday for TableTakes presented by Gen Con. Don't forget to stick around for the new release rundown right after this. You can still catch the Brothers Murph on Monday and the Fireside Chat on Wednesday. Anything else on the docket that I don't know about?
Not that I can think of.
All right, everybody, have a great weekend, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you very much.